tough one. The game they played awfully well at Michigan, and then they fought from behind. I think they were down 28-10 at Maryland on Saturday. But we know this is a team that has just wild swings in terms of their home and away. They're shooting the cover off of at home. They average almost 10 threes at home, and you've got to do a good job of taking that away. They rebound better at home, and then teams are only scoring 55, 56 points a game against them in Mackey. So they play with a different energy there, and yeah, we've got to be 10, 15, 20% better than we were here on that side of the court.
In your experience, when you play a team that close together, do they throw different wrinkles at you, or is it just kind of doing what you do?
Well, they're doing some things differently. They've made a few changes in terms of, we've seen a huge jump in Williams' impact. In a big game at Michigan, I think he had 36. At Michigan, he's averaging 20 plus since our game. So they're running a lot of actions through him. I think rightfully so. He's a terrific low post player. Harms was dinged up a little bit, and then we're seeing him do some things different. With a couple guys on the perimeter. Proctor's not maybe playing as much, and Hunter's been terrific. Hunter's mid-range game has been outstanding, and so they're playing better. They're playing better overall.
You guys have talked about how important it was to defend your home court. On the flip side of that, how important is it to kind of establish an ability to win on the road in this league as well?
Well, I think there's 6 wins, maybe 7 wins. Out of 6 wins out of all the games that have been played. It sounds great. It sounds like that's easy. Just go out and win on the road, and we've been very fortunate that we do have one of those nuggets already in the pocket, and we played well at Maryland. A game we had an opportunity to win, but it's every game's singular, and it's a challenge, and it's toughness and defense and rebounding and all the things you have to do, and then you got to play well offensively, and you got to execute and not turn it over, and it's everything's magnified a little bit on the road, and we have to make sure we amplify our energy and our toughness to find a way to do that.
How has finding a consistent rotation just kind of helped you guys in these last 3-4 games?
Yeah, it's been huge. Role identification has been a big part of our growth, and everybody understanding what they're doing. We don't need guys to average 20 a night. We've got guys coming off the bench that are capable of scoring. They provide different things. We've got a great mix in our starting lineup, and so yeah, it's been a big part of us. Finding some success in terms of 8-9 guys.
Has that been something that's been tough to find in previous seasons here?
Well, I think you always look for it. I don't think it's been. I think our productivity I thought was pretty good last year. Last year we were so young. Maybe I played guys shorter stints because of mistakes, because of youth. This year I've got a tendency to be able to leave them in a little longer. Man, I love what our bench is providing, and I love our energy. I love the leadership Dre gives us, and the different punch he has. And Kipper again has been a hard guard, being off the dribble, and then what he's done defensively, he's been exceptional. So I'm really comfortable with that, and probably as comfortable as I've been since we've been here.
You have 5 guys in double figures against Northwestern. If you could draw it up, is that your preference?
Every single night. Sign of a good team. I know I'm smart enough to know it's not going to happen like that every night. But yeah, that's it was great. It was efficient. Trent and Georgie in the first half were tremendous, and then Io in the second half, and Kofi just kind of maintained throughout, and yet then you get Allen didn't have one of his better nights, but you got the capability of him having a 20-point night. So. Yeah, I love the balance, and teams got to figure out what they're going to take away from us.
Has Andres had to adjust some a little bit from the start of the year, where he came on so hot and teams started figuring out his little push off a little bit, fade away, and how has he adjusted?
Well, I think it's been you always give the other team a little bit of credit for the scouting report and how they guard people and what they do. And so much of it, it's why it's a team sport. It's not just how they guard an individual, it's how a team guards certain actions and certain players. And you can find, you can go look at any Purdue film and see how teams guard Nogel Eastern, and who happens to be playing terrific right now. But, so it's a team effort, but he's playing great. I mean, he shot 1 million balls last week. It was great to see him get rewarded, making a couple threes, and he's a very good shooter. We don't want him to turn him down, and yet he's dynamic in pick and rolls as well. So he's been very, very good for us.
Brad, is there a mental component? There's so few road wins in the Big Ten to have one of those. Is there a mental component to those guys that it's a real goal that they can do? Or?
Well, I think we talk about it. I think that's what we've been taking a lot of pride in trying to establish here, is a toughness and a mindset that you can go on the road and win. And every game's got its different issues and its different battles, but yeah, I mean, that's just like we've talked about winning when we don't shoot the ball very well. It's that same toughness and grit you got to find when you're on the road, and the physicality and the not turning it over. That's all a mindset, and you got to be mentally tough to do those things.
Is the toughest part of Mackey that noise?
Well, the opponent's pretty good
Well,
too,
yeah.
and the guy standing on the sidelines is not a bad coach.
Touche.
But yeah, I think it's it's loud. It's probably the loudest arena in this league, and one of probably the 4 or 5 best I've been a part of as a coach in my many years, and that makes it fun. It's a great environment, and I can't imagine that tomorrow night will be any different.
Warren is essentially out of emergency foul trouble, but is there something you like out of that 4-guard lineup around Kofi and Georgie, at least during stretches and games?
Yeah, last game was more about matchups and more about trying to exploit what they were doing. Northwestern had a very difficult time going small because they're not small, and so we ran a couple actions to get guys going on the perimeter and get some movement, but it was more a counter to them than it was any other reason. But yeah, we like it at times. We know we can play it, and especially when you've got Kofi back there, being able to rebound it and protect the rim.
You and Tyler on speaking terms after practicing the Chiefs game?
Well, I was going to start with Andy Reid's "Go Chiefs" mantra, but he was a little ticked yesterday, so he and I had a very tense practice. He spent most of the day running, and his mental focus wasn't up to speed, as he was more worried about whether Tyreek Hill was going to catch a touchdown pass. And I did tell any manager that if they told him to score during practice, he would be fired. They'd be fired immediately. So, but no, it's Tyler's. He sprinted out of the building and was at his apartment and was calling me, screaming when they finally won and were going to the Super Bowl. So yeah, and I got it. And I'm a diehard Chiefs fan, so I'm pretty excited for it myself.
Right, is there something that Matt Painter has done at Purdue that has kind of led to that reputation of Mackey being so tough over the years?
Yeah, he's won. I mean, he's found a culture that is, and I say this, and I have, you almost want to copy it, and again, it goes back to Gene Cady, and Matt was a part of that, and that culture is so ingrained there, and it's the toughness, and it's the excitement with which they've created. And when you win, you build that kind of success and that kind of following, and Matt's done it with very talented players who are exciting, and his last 3 years have been really 4 years probably exciting as heck, and he's done that, and that following is well deserved.
You mentioned Williams. He's playing better since you guys played. What have you seen on film out of him that's allowed him to take that big step?
Well, he's added another move, and they're going to him. The one thing I respect about him is he's an elite passer, and so it's not just him looking to score. It's him sharing and passing. They get a lot of cuts to the rim off of that. They get a lot of spot ups off that. He's got a scoring mentality. He's one of the leading rebounders, if not the leading rebounder in the league, especially on the offensive end. He knows how to score, and he knows he can go to the glass, get offensive rebounds. If he can't score, he finds Sasha for a three off an offensive rebound. He keeps growing his arsenal on the block, and he's just playing with a lot of confidence, and he's hitting step backs, and that's a kid that's his development is literally changing every day.
You mentioned the role recognition, just to have that team-wide, has that helped maybe find this dynamic where Io and Trent seem to be operating together maybe the best they have?
Yeah, it's chemistry. I mean, when everybody understands their roles and tries to be great at it, no matter what their role is, just be great at your job, and then chemistry develops, and a willingness to elevate your teammate, and all of those things happen kind of organically when you identify what your role is, and teams play to that. And it's Io and Trent's maybe as good of an example. Georgie and Kofi, the tandem, all of them mixed. We're starting to play better. The lobs we threw to Kofi, we weren't making earlier. The throwbacks, we call them shakes in basketball. Those opportunities. That's all out of knowing where people are going to be, and you can almost just throw them blindly and know that your teammate's going to be there, and that's comfortable, and it all comes from role identification.
I know Travion Williams didn't really get in the flow much when they played here earlier in the month, but since then he's had a couple of good games. With him and Harms, what kind of problems does that pose down for your bigs like Joe? Yeah,
I mean, one's 7'3" and really athletic, and the other one's 280 pounds and can really score. And Harms has the ability, especially at home. He's stretched the defense with his three-point shooting. They play high-low a lot. They can go very big when they put Nogel at the point. And then Hunter's playing well. So this is a team that, with that size, can match anybody in the country physically. And then Harms is he's got just extraordinary length. He helps protect the rim and makes it very difficult to score around the basket.
After the Missouri game, Conzo mentioned that he felt like his team just had a better feel for how to defend Trent when he was off the ball, maybe not bringing it up the court. Just because, do you see a difference maybe when, even if he just initiates the offense and brings it up in terms of maybe what you can do?
There's an unbelievable push that he has and thrust, because of his speed when he's got the ball. Teams guard him different in ball screens than they guard Dre and Io in a lot of cases, and teams fear Trent stopping behind it, shooting it, and then now his comfort, 6 games in a row without a turnover. He's doing a great job of getting us into actions, getting us into our sets, and getting us into our plays. He was instrumental in our zone offense and just making the right calls and getting us in plays. So, it's probably helped. Io's, elite speed, getting out running the wing has got him going. He comes off a lot of actions, without the ball where he's moving, and that plays to his strength as well.
Have you ever seen a run of 6 games, no turnovers for a guy that has the ball so much in his hand?
Goes back a long way. I had the little point guard at SFA, who I think was second in the country in assist to turnover ratio, but I don't know if he went 6 games. I'd have to go back and look, but he's when he starts making shots like he did the other day and feels good about that, that adds another dimension. But his leadership and it's his ship and he's running it, and it's pretty comforting as a coach to know that you've got that guy out there. And I think we had 8 turnovers yesterday or Saturday, and a lot of that comes from him.
Right, it seemed like Northwestern kind of tailored some of their defensive approach toward neutralizing Kofi inside a little bit. What did you think about the way that they played him, and how might you adapt to that in the future if he's going away again?
I thought we threw him 4 lobs that he didn't finish, and we missed him about 8 times on angle post-ups that he should have had 30. And that's what we showed in film. I thought We didn't do a great job of getting him the ball. I also thought it was a game that, when you zone somebody, you usually have a tendency to want to take that part of it away. And then we made shots. We made threes. We didn't go to him as much. Instead, we got Georgie in areas where Georgie was very successful in those baseline jump shots in that high post area. And so, the balance shifted a little bit. It wasn't as much what they did as what the action called for us to handle at that moment.
No walking boot for Ben. Any update on his status?
Yeah, he's continuing to improve. He's out of that, but still won't suit. We're at the discretion of the physicians there, and then we'll continue to monitor as we move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Go Chiefs! You're going to hear that every day for 2 weeks. No chance. I didn't even know what they favorite.
1 point.
1 point favorite.
That would be more than kids who might be even by
They
then.
better not get 49ers better not get behind.